she's faithful. Yes, she's true like ice, like fire. People carry roses and make promises by the hour. My love, she laughs like a flower.
This organization, which is just getting off the ground, is so critical to our world and our country today. And I really enjoyed working with you, Michael, in forming the organization. I can't wait to see the good things that you guys do, taking kids around to meet other people, different cultures, and exchange ideas. So thank you very much for giving us the chance to help you do good.
I think this experience kickstarted my son's young adulthood. He flew down, and the next thing I remember, he was sending home videos of places that I had never seen and writing comments about the people he was meeting and the depth of the conversations they were having. And how he was like, this was about red state and blue state, but really I'm just meeting other Americans who live in different places who are just as cool as the people back home, and we're talking about things that I never dreamed we'd talk about. I thought it was going to be politics or classroom. He's like, no, we were just talking about sports, and we were all the same. And then we got into some things that we disagreed on or we talked about, but it made him feel as if the country were smaller. And it was really so cool to see him come back and talk about things in an adult way that he had not done before. Much more grounded. The other aspect of it, which was amazing, was that it kickstarted his college experience, is that they got to visit University of South Carolina, Furman University, which is apparently the most beautiful campus in America, because he's seen now every college in New England and the East, and he's like, Furman's nicer than that. So, a gentleman asked me a moment ago, would I recommend it? And the answer is certainly yes, but for reasons that I didn't even anticipate when we had the opportunity to do it, because it expanded my son's, expanded his maturity. It made him more mature and expanded his worldview and expanded his conversational style. As I felt he came back, kind of like you hear about when you go to college. He came back a year older, a week later.
When Mike asked me to say something, I was like, talk about being a teacher? No, I was like, I use this poem at the end of every one of my semesters or years when I teach in every class, whether it's US history or Holocaust and Genocide Studies or AP Government, because I want my students to know that everyone's different, no matter where they're from. So it fit in my mind so well with American Tributaries. There's not another single person in the world who is like me. No one looks as I do, thinks as I do. No one laughs quite like me or laughs at the same things as me. That which causes me joy or sorrow does not affect anyone else in exactly the same way. Nowhere is there anyone who shares my taste in books or music. There are tasks that I enjoy that others find boring or insignificant. And while many will do things better than I, no one will do them precisely as I. Most of the time, I like me as I am. When I become disappointed in me and look for ways to make changes, I must remember that God intended me to be this way, to have imperfections and doubts and fears. They're all part of my differentness. And if I could change anything, it would be to increase my understandingness of my differentness and the differentness of every other being in the world. I'm special.
I'm special.
And you guys are special.
Aww.
Thank you.
Before this program, I honestly didn't really know much about South Carolina or anything, anything involving the South. And honestly, when my dad first started talking to me about it, I didn't really know what my initial thoughts were, but once I took how long was that trip? 14 hours.
It was a 14-hour train ride.
The 14-hour train ride down to South Carolina, and I got to, meet the farmers in Charleston and visit the Army base in Columbia and, hang out with teens from South Carolina. I honestly have realized how much similar we are to them, and it was honestly really eye-opening. And ever since that trip, I've never looked, I've begun to look at this country in a very different way, and I wanted to say that I really admire you, Dad. I know that this must have taken a lot out of you, and I know there was definitely lots of obstacles, and I'm really glad you're still doing this because I think it's a really important thing. And
what's this project about? It's about being curious about America again. To learn about fellow Americans as they are, in person and on the ground. Not as they're distorted or exaggerated by media, politicians, special interests. I've heard those groups called like conflict entrepreneurs. We owe it to those who preceded us and to those who are going to follow us, like our children, to fix our problems and to continue moving as a nation. But we can't do that if we're unknowing and afraid and angry with each other, with people that live differently than us. We can't do that if, in that mindset, we become vulnerable to leaders who rally us with negative emotions rather than positive emotions. The time around January 6th, for me, was really the most sickening time of my life. But the reason wasn't because of any immediate threat, it was because I felt powerless and directionless and hopeless. And that's why American Tributaries means so much to me. That's why I can't, and I'm not going to relent on this project. It takes back power from those conflict entrepreneurs. It says, this is my country, this is our country, and we'll do something about it ourselves. We're not waiting for some miraculous policy or some savior politician. It gives direction. It says we'll try to understand fellow Americans on our terms, on their terms, so we can make more informed decisions on how we can work together or separately to solve the various and different problems we all face. And it gives hope. Because in every step of the way, every outreach I've done in this project, I've been welcomed with gratitude and willingness to teach and openness to learn. Everybody. South Carolina, trust me, there's a crazy Brooklynite who's calling people in South Carolina saying, hey, I want to bring a bunch of New York City high school kids. And they all talked to me and indulged that trip, and they welcomed us with open arms. So please help us make that trip to South Carolina.